Excited to have with us once again Mr. Robert Michael from REM Private Management. Welcome, Robert. What's going on, brother?
Hey Greg, what's happening, man? It's been a long time.
I know. Excited to
Last
have
time
you back.
everybody saw me, it was Truth and Trust. Now it's REM Private Management.
Hey, you know what? We go through progressions of education and learning, and if we got to, create different things, we're excited to hear about what's going on with REM Private Management. You've been telling me that you've been having a lot of successes lately, so let's just dive right into it and tell us what's going on.
Absolutely, man. It's nothing but success. Actually, we haven't had one fail, which has been great. And when I say one, people are probably wondering what we're talking about. We're talking about all kinds of different issues with child support, with traffic, with IRS, just whatever's coming our way, man. We're just knocking it out, bam, bam, bam. And we're also at the same time we're dispelling a lot of myths that have been going around in the freedom community for years and years and years. There's a lot of T crossing and I dotting that is just completely unnecessary. There's a lot of rabbit trails. There's a lot of belief that you have to be out of the system. You have to be out of the system. That's wrong. First off, how the hell are you going to live outside the system and live? You can't. The system is a divine placement. It's not, it's the system is it's neutral. It's not evil. It's not, good. The people that are running it are a problem, but the system itself is neutral and is very effective and is there for our benefit. So, I mean, you and I know we've talked. All these years, I've done a lot of stuff. They even arrested me for, tried to trump up a story because I was beating them up in their courtrooms and stuff. And this is actually when I first came onto this stuff was back 6 years ago when I had success with it, and then with my own criminal case, I got everything dismissed. Same way, but I didn't know how simple the pieces were. So we're going to break this down. We're going to make it real simple because it's so much easier than what everybody is doing. And we've had not every case that I help people with that we work on just stops immediately. It either stops or weird things start going on, and eventually it's just dismissed. Okay, if it's a court case. And we'll get into talking about some of the other things too, because people want to know, do I have access to my account? Can I get money? All that stuff. And we'll talk about that too. So basically what it all boils down to is the Office of the General Executor. Probably a lot of people probably heard that, probably heard of David Clarence, all that stuff. David Clarence has a lot of really good education on it. However, I disagree with a lot of it. I especially disagree with all of, again, the T crossing and the I dot, like, oh, the address has to be perfectly this way and this has to be that way. And that's not true. And I know it's not true because I've achieved the same results not doing that stuff. So it can't be true. Okay. It can't be accurate. Same thing with the driver's license, right? Like we were talking earlier. You can have a driver's license and still not be held to tickets and traffic. You have to know how to operate. And I say that because we've had people with driver's licenses and registrations, and we use the same exact steps, and they walked right through it and got accolades from the judge. Like, damn, you just came in here and knocked it out, man. That's awesome. The judge was like, oh, have a go at it. Have a Merry Christmas. He was like, wow, man, shit, that was easy. Because so here's the basic premise. We become the general executive. We always accept all the charges. We don't ever argue anything. We either give them the authority to go into the account, pay the charges, or we give them an instrument to do it with. I like using an instrument because if I give them an instrument, they have this fiduciary responsibility where they're holding the instrument. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do with it, that's theft. So then we have theft and treason against an American citizen. So I have a much better foothold if they decide not to do anything. But so far they haven't. They've always dismissed it. So what basically happens is you inhabit the office, you occupy the office of the general executor. You have to do your power of attorney for that. Okay. Then it's just a matter of doing business of the estate. So people, here's the setup. Here's how it's actually working for people that are trying to figure out how is this actually working. It's brilliant and it's simple. You wear two hats. You're either the executor or you're the beneficiary, one of the two. And you just have to know when you're wearing the hat. The entity obviously is created at birth. We know, it's just not a secret anymore. The entity is created at birth. So what is a synonym for estate? It's property. And estate simply means the sum of all property owned by a person, right? Well, we know that the entity as a person. So they give it what's called, everybody calls the Sesta trust, it's a big mythical creature. All Sesta means, first off, is beneficiary. Every trust is a Sesta trust. Let's put it that way, just about. So anyhow, this Sesta that everybody talks about is Social Security. Let's not make it this elusive, oh man, this big hidden thing. No, it's Social Security account. That is the trust. Okay. When Social Security Administration has told us this, so we know that is the trust. Okay. Told us to our face. I mean, this is not hearsay. So the estate's created because everything gets attached to that number, right? So that trust and all the property is the estate. So yes, when we are going through life, we are being held as the executor decon toward the intermeddler, okay, which means an unlawful executor because we're administrating this account and we don't have authority to do it. Okay, so all these people that are using instruments and doing all this stuff that may work here, they may work there, and this and that, but when they come for you, guess what? You're an executor decon toward. You have no right to do any of that shit until you record the power of attorney, which revokes all other powers of attorney and puts you in the driver's seat as the general executor with power of attorney to administrate the estate. Everything is the estate. Nothing is you. We know these types of things. So what REM Private Management does is I teach people. They can pay for my consultation time. And a lot of people have put me on retainer. And what they do is they select a retainer fee. I've got different fees. And they select a retainer fee. And then I consult with them whenever I'm there when they need me. I work on paperwork with them and all that stuff. Like, there's no templates and all or anything. I mean, there's a few in the beginning, the foundational templates, but other than that, everything is typed per situation. It is not, you don't just have a template that's just going to work for everything. It's not how it works. So they come to us for that. There's templates they can purchase on the site and things like that. My time is $75 an hour, and which is really, I mean, come on, you go hire an attorney for $300 or $400 and see where that gets you, right? I've got 9 cases, and people that want proof, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have it, because every time we do this, the case disappears. Oh, magic, So you just have to go on faith. I mean, if you think we're doing the right thing, awesome. If you don't, awesome too. We don't care who believes us, who doesn't. Like it's not a thing. So people come to us and then I consult them. There's also a 1-hour consultation that you can just pay for one off, like a $75 fee. And then, I'll speak with you for an hour and we can go over what your needs are, what you're looking at. So what we're trying to do basically is say, look, we are a private management company. What that means is we are helping people manage their private affairs, everything private. When you go to our website, you're only going to be allowed to view the homepage. You're not going to be able to click off it without signing an NDA, electronic NDA, because again, it's private. I've had some people email in that they're unhappy about that. Well, I'm sorry. I got arrested in a group before because the shit wasn't private. I'm not doing that. That's the whole point of being private. I have an agreement with you now. If an agent comes and they sign that and then they use it against me, well, that's great. You owe me $100,000 per occurrence. I've got the agreement right here. So I'm cool, so that's our agreement. But yeah, that's really what we're doing here is just blowing the lid off of all these different theories that have been going around for years that even I bought into. Status and standing is everything, and you have to learn how to be a professional and administrate the estate. So what that means is from that point, because people want to know, am I going to get my bills paid? Am I going to get access to that account? What that means is, yes, you do have an authority now, but you don't have the authority to access and do anything. You are the general executor. What does an executor do? An executor appoints administrators to get the job done. So now you have the authority to appoint the administrators, which are the government, trustees, or even people in a corporate situation that have your estate information, like a bank. Hey, I'm the general executor. An executor has a right to settle the estate, and you have a duty to give me all the stuff from this decedent and their estate. So people have said to me, oh, well, you just watch, they don't follow the law. Okay, fine. Obviously you haven't studied executor and wills and estates, because the entire law structure changes. It flips. As soon as you become the executor, the whole law structure changes. And they know that because they're under a ministerial duty at that point. That's all you got to do is read about executor in American jurisprudence. It will tell you the executor, once he or she appoints someone, it's a ministerial duty. They no longer have discretion to use statutory code to do whatever the hell they want. They can't do it. And they know that. That's why they're screwed, because they go, oh shit, now you're under a duty. You're under a fiduciary responsibility, and you have a ministerial duty to administer this estate. So that pulls them back into the whole ecclesiastic thing, into the whole, everything is pretty much under God and, all that shit. It really pulls them into that. The lower level agents, the police officers, the agents at the front desk, they don't know this stuff. So you're not going to get talking to them. You're not going to get anything. Okay. It's your job to educate them, right? So with that, what REM Private Management does is says, hey, we're going to educate you on how you start to deal with your daily affairs. So you're structured, you have an offense, which includes trust, which is what Truth and Trust was big on, right? Definitely a part of the mix. We teach people how to live, okay, not in the system, but it's not you that's in the system. We teach them how to get their benefit from the system the way that it was intended. Okay, and I'll give you two rules of thumb right here that I tell everybody. If you get questioned, pulled over, doesn't matter what the issue is, by anyone that you're not familiar with, that is coming at you from some sort of legal perspective, your only answer is, I'm sorry, I do not have counsel. I cannot answer that question. I'm sorry, I cannot answer that question without counsel. That they know what that means,
That would be intelligent for anybody in any situation, right?
Right. But what do? I'm a free man, and I got a right to travel, and blah, 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 and you start saying all this stuff, and they go, great, we're going to use all that against you. Keep going, are you resisting arrest? All that stuff. Soon as they hear you don't have an attorney, they know, oh, stop, we can't move forward. That is the robot's buzzword. That's what they know. And we know that because we've done this over and over and over. So we know that that's what they get. And people, I think, overlook the fact that the law says, the statute and code law says that they have to question you, but it doesn't say that you have to give them information. It never says that. It's nowhere in there. You don't have to give them information. Stop giving them information. I don't have my attorney. That's the one thing. So that's one rule of thumb. The other is when you're signing anything, especially in a situation where they're attacking you, if it's a bond, they arrest you. And I'll give you a quick story after this to give you all these pieces how it all came together. But, your signature first off, you shouldn't sign. You're not the estate. And if you do have to sign, it should just be without the words, without prejudice. I wouldn't put anything else on there, just without prejudice. And of course, they're going to go, well, that's not your name. Well, there is no law that says my signature has to be my name. How do you think they stole everything from the Indians? You think they could write their name? They didn't even know how to read and write at all. The fact that they put a blot on the paper with whatever instrument they were given was their signature. That law has never changed and will never change. So we use that, and those are the two principles that I set people up with and try to get them to start implementing in their daily lives. Credit card receipts, other contracts, things like that. It's always by : signature, because that's saying you're an agent. By : so what you're doing, this isn't stuff that's just going to change the whole situation on a dime. It's setting you up because you're showing that you're acting in the right capacity the entire time, without getting into having to explain who you are, where your recordings are, law of equity, all this blah, 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 garbage. Like, you don't have to get into all that, none of that. And it works, man, and it's effective. And I mean, we've just been blowing up every single issue somebody comes to me with. Doesn't matter what state it's been in, doesn't matter what level it's been at. We're doing a credit card case right now where they're bucking like crazy in Florida. They don't want to, they don't want to give it up, but they know that we know, because So weird stuff happens. Okay. Oh, and by the way, every case that we've had dismissed and handled, there was never any paperwork filed. Never filed a single piece of paper into the case. Okay. It's all done private notice. Nothing gets put on the record at all. Now, that became a problem here in Florida because we sent them our private communication. And I always have big red letters on there saying private, confidential, and I have a confidentiality notice included in the documents that says, no one is to view this but the recipients. I mean, that's it. So what do? The clerk opens up the judge's mail addressed to the judge to his room and records it on the record. So they recorded this man's birth certificate, his social security number, and everything into 2 cases. So now all his private information is wide open to the public. So if somebody wanted to rip him off, they easily could because they got all his information. Okay. But the robots at the front desk didn't see their statutory form that they're used to. So they recorded it all as if it was to be recorded in the case. So now they call my buddy in. He goes in. It's not a court. It's in the judge's chambers, and it's just him, his wife, the judge, and the attorney for the bank on the phone. Okay, and she didn't utter a word because she couldn't. There's nothing. She didn't have anything to say. Now we gave her $100,000 to hold to discharge all the debt. She's holding 100, and we accepted all the charges, so there was nothing to argue. So the judge, when you go in, the judge tries to trick you up always because they want to see if you really know. And that was what he said to the guy. He goes, "Do you really know, or are you getting this off the internet or from an attorney?" And my buddy was like, "Nope, I know who I am, And then he said, "Well, are you John Henry Doe?" He said, "No, I'm not. John Henry, the family Doe." I said, He said, "You're talking about the estate." So the judge says, he goes, "Were your parents married when you were born?" Now, this is a credit card case. Why are you asking him about his parents being married when they were born, right? So, of course, he said, yes, and he goes, "And you're not arguing anything?" He said, "Nothing at all." He said, "I've accepted all the charges on behalf of the estate. I've accepted all." And he just kept repeating that. "I've accepted." "You're not arguing?" "Nothing. Nothing at all." "Nope, nothing at all." He's like, "Well, I'm trying to save you a trip from coming back here." So this is where he caught my buddy, and my buddy's like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, I'm going to go ahead and put this motion through. If I put this motion through, do you agree to that?" And he goes, "No, I don't agree to that." He goes, "Well, I guess you're going to have to come back here. We're going to reschedule this for a month." But he tripped him up because he said he's not arguing anything. Well, he just said, "Do you agree?" He said, "No." Well, that's an argument. So, I guess we got to come for trial. So see, they try this game where they try to trip you up, but they're letting us know that they know. Obviously, it's blatantly obvious. So that's a good thing for us. Now we have to do some other steps. No big deal. We'll handle it. But I just want to make the point that they show us that they know. Not only do they, it's blatant anymore. They were walking out of the courtroom and the judge said, loud, audible, "You stay on the phone," to the attorney. He said, "You stay there. I'm going to check the hallways and make sure nobody's listening, and we're going to have a conversation." So they're letting us know right to our face, man, what to do and how to do it and who knows what, who doesn't, So we know that this all works. It's all solid, and it's the way to function. And basically, again, just to bring it home, you're functioning in the office of general executive. That gives you a huge amount of power. Huge, huge, huge. So for anybody wanting to know what that's all about, just start studying executor law, wills, estates, trusts. How's that work? Probate. Now there's David Clarence thought out there that you have to go into probate and do all this. You don't. And I'm not saying that that's not an option at some point, but we have not done anything in probate and we don't really plan on it. Okay, because we're not trying to go in there and say, "Oh, we want you to give us everything for the estate and then we're just going to disappear." We don't want to do that. We don't want to disappear. We want to enjoy the world, So, so that's where we're at, man. That's what we're doing. And it's just been amazing. Everything's just popping off one thing after another and just trying to educate as many people as we can. And obviously I've turned it into my own livelihood. So that's why I charge for people that are going to, make us think about paying money. To me, it's nothing. yeah, so it's just what I do, man. I mean, this is what, REM is a trust. It is a full-fledged business. We also offer private business trusts, which I've been researching against some other very professional in real estate investment private trusts and things like that, which they're using the common law trust just like everybody else. And I've looked at mine and theirs, and I'm like, there's some things I wouldn't do there, So ours does have a little bit of an edge on some of these other private trusts. I've looked at a lot of people's private trusts, and I don't like what I see, to be honest with you. So we like to think that we're really helping people when we set them up, structure them with these trusts, and start protecting their assets and things like that. So, and yeah, and for all the new currencies and things like that, and that are coming down, it'll be good for people to have these trusts to put everything in. It's just another protective layer. So ownership is a bad thing. That's how I look at it.
That makes sense. So you're saying that you don't deal with probate. So when you're sending off these power of attorney letters, who are you sending it out to? Is there a specific place that you're lodging these documents in order for it to be recognized by these different folks?
So recognition, number one, I always say, is not my problem. That's their problem. This is standard notice law. So there's, whether they recognize it or not is their problem, which we're working on, because we know that we've got to help them. Where they're getting sent to is usually the attorney general or someone under them. State's attorneys are all on. So if there's a prosecutor involved, it goes to them, and then I CC everybody else. So when I say everybody else, it's usually the judge. If it's not the state's attorney, someone under the attorney general, then it goes directly to the attorney general, and whomever else I might want to notice in that CC list. So basically, you always have the power of attorney goes in there. You always have your letters of appointment from the executor, your discharge presentment, and whatever instrument you're discharging. And you always have the charging instrument, whatever it is, certified so you can accept it for value. Okay, so you have to accept the charges. And those are the pieces that I use, and those are the people that I send it to every single time. And so far, it's all been the same, man. It's all been the same. And when you go into the court, they treat you completely different. They try to trick you up. But, the one guy that we did back in December with the right to travel, again, this is a man that had a driver's license. He had tags, not on his car. He took expired tags from one car and put them on another and drove down the road, whatever he's doing. Now, this is a professional businessman. He's been following me for a few years. He's been learning everything from me. Great guy. We became really good friends. After all this, he called me and said, man, I've been following you for years, and you're right. This stuff works, and this is how you do it. And I said, yeah, that's awesome. So he goes, well, I got in some trouble, so I need to pay for your services. So he did. So I helped him, and he went into court. They arrested him. He didn't sign anything. He signed everything without prejudice. They gave him a bond. He didn't sign it. They actually signed it for him. Big no on their part. Oh yeah, they signed it for him. So he had a bond. He had all this stuff. These charges. Now, this is a guy that had a license. He didn't give it to the officer when they asked it for him. He said he can't give him any information. Obviously, they cuffed him and went through his wallet, and oh, look, he's got a license, So this blows the whole myth of, oh, you got to get rid of your license and have your own tags and all. No, you don't. You're only asking for trouble that way. So why do it when you don't need to? So he goes into court. We did the process of everything I just explained. He goes into court. And the judge, there was a judge there, okay, who got a copy of everything. But we had originally sent it to the chief judge of that court because he wasn't assigned a judge at the time. So that judge said, no, I'm sorry. The judge received, or he went in, he said, look, I'm not arguing anything. I agree with everything. The matter's been settled. All the charges are settled for the estate. Same thing my other buddy said. All the charges settled for the estate. And she goes, well, who got that? Or, somehow asked him the question of where the paperwork was. He said, well, it was, we sent it to so-and-so, chief administrative judge. Oh, that's the wrong person. She said, you're going to have to take this up with the prosecutor. I'm rescheduling this for a month later. Fine. He leaves. He comes back to me. He's like, man, I don't think I did so good. She rescheduled it and this and that. And I said, no, she's telling you what you need to do. She said, you're going to have to take that up with the prosecutor. Wink, wink, hello. send it to the prosecutor. So just as he got home, his package came back from the judge. She returned it. Okay. And it has his bill of exchange, birth certificate in it, where we paid them like 500 grand and all, acceptance of the charges, everything, his whole packet comes back. I said, all right, let's rework it and send it over to the prosecutor. Prosecutor got it within 3 weeks before the hearing. So, and never returned it. Now, the one we mailed previous to the judge, she returned that in like 3 days. Okay. Never returned it. So when he got into court, it was a different judge. Okay. It wasn't the same judge. It was a guy this time. And judge basically kind of sat there quiet, was like, okay, present your cases. And, the prosecutor says, are you, John Henry Doe? He goes, no, I'm not. And this is the video. I think you might have saw the video. No, I'm not, that's the estate, whatever. And then, is this your vehicle? No, it's not. It belongs to the estate. Okay. We no longer prosecute. And the judge said, if you do this again, you're going to be back in here. Kind of wink, wink, and my guy said, don't worry, Judge, it's all taken care of. And the judge smiled and laughed at me. He said, okay, you have a Merry Christmas. And walked right out the door, man. No charges, no nothing, So that was really what broke all of this, because I had done it 3 or 4 other times in the past. I just didn't know which pieces were hidden, you know what I mean? Because we try so much stuff and we put so much stuff in there. His was the first where it was real clear cut and very simple. And I was like, that's it every time. And then we've done it the same way every time. And it's been bam. So, so that's the process in a nutshell.
That's fantastic. So you're not getting much pushback from the judges or the prosecutors as far as power of attorney or executorship and them.
No.
A lot of people looking at the idea of a decedent as being, a dead person, or which I guess we could all agree that a fictional entity is a dead entity in it.
Sure.
Right? It's not doesn't have living fiction.
And they did say that to my buddy in Florida. They said, is John Henry Doe dead? And he's like, guess so. It's not alive. Must be dead, right? So so they will try. They will try to test you. But it's not an argument, because again, you're not arguing, you're just clarifying. And any argument that comes up, I'm not arguing, because that's what court is for. Court is for arguing. Controversy. Well, you just eliminate. So we're doing 2 things. We're eliminating the controversy, and we are paying the charges, okay, out of the estate. That's it. And that's what an executor does, pays the charges after they've had an assessment of the, what the account is actually, what the charges actually are, right? So it pays the debts. So with that, they have no firepower. They have nothing. You just wiped out. I'm not arguing with you, Oh, you drove 800 miles an hour and you're driving without a license and this and that. Blah, 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 and you. Well, first off, the estate has accepted those charges. Is there anything else you'd like to say? How do you wish to plead? Well, we're not pleading. We've accepted the charge. And we've had to say this. We're not pleading. We accepted the charges. There's no plea. We're not begging you for mercy here. We are saying we accepted everything and we're paying it. Are you refusing our tender? Now they're, oh shit, because you gave them a valid, that's the other thing. You got to give them a valid tender. You give them a valid tender, man, they're screwed, because the UCC says if they take that tender and they don't dishonor it, then discharge, meaning all dishonor means they have to send it back to you with a stamp or something written on it that says why it's in dishonor. The account doesn't exist. That's a dishonor. Here you go. That account doesn't exist. The law says if they send it back to you and there's no dishonor on it, they've discharged. So whether they send it back or they keep it, there's discharge. And that's UCC 3-306, So, and again, we don't use that. I don't go in there and use code and all that. I don't use any of that. I just know that that's how they have to operate. Now, if I have to pull it out on them, I do. And I don't even say UCC. I go, the state commercial law, right? Like, hello, you guys need to go look this up. State commercial law says that you have accepted the tender, and you have discharged the case. Now that's the onus is on you to go look it up. I don't even use that shit. Actually, I don't think I ever use any case law or anything. I use no documents that look like theirs. I never, ever, ever file anything into the case, ever, The only thing we do is get certified copies of the charging sheet, whatever it might be, the complaint, the ticket, the whatever. Thank you very much. Accepted for value, included in our package, and that's it. We don't do anything else. And it's all private mailing. Everything's registered mail, private. So, yeah, man.
Fantastic. I think you made a point in the video that I watched that you sent me that I think makes a lot of sense, which is a lot of people have written without prejudice 1-308, or they write just simply UCC 1-308, when in fact the terminology of UCC 1-308 is simply speaking about commercial. From what I mean, this is not legal advice. I know from both of us that would say right now that this entire video is not legal advice. It's, I mean, simply opinions and education, entertainment, whatnot. We're not lawyers. I mean, like you said, your organizations for private management. But I think you made a good point that UCC 1-308 simply states that the language to be used is without prejudice or all rights reserved. It doesn't say to actually claim that code number.
Right.
Right. It's just talking about the language to be used in order to be a part of the signature or to utilize in place of the signature or whatever it might be.
Absolutely. So citing that is not good enough. Like you said, for people that are just writing UCC 1-308, well, you didn't do anything. That's like writing chapter 3, volume 4. Right? It's the same thing. I wrote chapter 3, volume 4 on there. Well, what is chapter 3, volume 4? You didn't state what it is, right? So yes, it says to use the words. And a lot of people put without prejudice or all rights reserved or words of similar import that apply to that after their name. Well, how does that make sense? If your name, or after your signature, if your name, your signature is the end of the agreement, everything above that is agreed to. You just left that out by putting it after you know what I mean? So it goes either before or above the name because it's included now in the agreement that you made. So that's another point I think a lot of people miss. And these are common sense type things. Like a lot of this is really common sense. You just have to look at the moving parts, So I feel a lot better because I am not worried about anything to do with any of that statutory crap, all this research, all this garbage. I just stick to the very basic estate, trust, how to administrate, executor, will, all that kind of stuff. Other than that, the rest of it's right out the door. I'm dealing with the IRS now. I got this. I called the actual IRS agent. I said, you need to call me like ASAP because we need to discuss your termination. I said, I've got everything, the FOIA right here. And I've got the, your code that says you need to be terminated because you put these liens on me erroneously. And here's the FOIA response. It says you did not file proper protocol, which means you're out. When does an IRS agent not call you back? This is when, okay, it's been like a week and a half. I ain't heard a word from this guy, so it's great to be in that position when you're in the position of power and not afraid of them anymore. We're all going to have fear, but you got to push through it and just be smart and just, not have the fear that, oh my God, they're going to do this or that or the other. You just go through and be knowledgeable, and it's great, and be peaceful, right? Because this is all about, there's no controversy here. I'm just administrating the account the way that it's supposed to be. So that's kind of where we get into some of the other people's questions. They want to know, can I get this paid for? You can do anything you want. Okay. It's how you're going to do it. How are you going to get them? How you need to appoint them to get it done. Now, we haven't taken those steps yet, but we are about to take those steps where we're saying, hey, Attorney General, I need to speak with you. I need you to appoint me a permanent fiduciary so that I can go, hey, take care of that bill. You got that? Okay. Thank you. Hey, take care of that bill. You got that? I don't care what size it is. Hey, so that's what we're getting ready to do because that's the way it's supposed to work. I'm not paying any bills. I'm not doing anything. They're going to discharge all that. They're going to do that, so we're working on that. Same thing. First, we're going to go and we're going to get, our individual master file, all these banks and everything that we know. We're going to gather. What does an executor do? He gathers all of the accounts and all the information and all the accounting and property and assets of the decedent. And that sometimes takes years. Okay. We're going to do that. We're going to start gathering all of our stuff and then saying, hey, you owe us an accounting. You owe us this, so that we can now settle all of this out. And by the way, you have no right to put this information in your system anymore. Here's the POA. We're in charge. Take it out of your system, and there you go, man. Now you're operating from a position of power. So have we done that stuff yet? No. Am I fully confident in it? 100%. Like, I am 100% confident that we are going to get what we're after. There's no doubt.
Let me ask you a question. What is the difference between power of attorney and executor?
Well, there's a big difference. So the executor has to be appointed the powers of attorney. They have to have the power to administrate that estate. So the dead man, the straw man, has to appoint you, the living man, as the general executor, as the power of attorney. So you could appoint yourself as power of attorney, sure, but it's more effective to appoint the general executor as the power of attorney. So if you just say, well, I'm the general executor, that's great too. I mean, there's nothing, I've done it without a power of attorney before. I have. So it is possible. Okay. But the difference is, once you record that power of attorney on the public record and it shows you're the executor and as the power of attorney, they're scared to death of those recorded records. They hate recordings. So that gives it validity into the public notice. It's out there. It's something they can see, legally speaking. So that's the difference with having that power of attorney. I just noticed that. So again, I've done this before without power of attorney, but I just noticed that once we started using it, it was a lot more effective and things stopped dead, and they said, well, all right, well, we better start, playing by the rules here. So that's why we use that power of attorney. And that's the difference between having it and not having it, so to speak.
Let's see. There's a couple of questions that folks had sent. Let's see if we covered them. First one was, does he have a means of funding our life via the estate? I think you kind of touched upon it.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know if there's a big pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that they could, go obtain.
Well, yeah, and my thought on that, and this is my personal opinion, like, if you're not happy being in the world and producing stuff and living, and you think that I'm oppressed because I don't have the pot of gold, then the pot of gold is never going to do you any good anyway. It doesn't matter. It's like people that get a lottery ticket. What happens with them? All my woes are gone. Everything is solved, and they wind up drug addicts, penniless. So that's my opinion on the whole.
And I've heard you state similar before. And just for the record, for those who are watching, as far as you want to know my opinion, I think it's against natural law to not produce in life. We're put here. I'm not saying that we're put here to be enslaved, right? No. People don't want to be in a feeling like they're a slave to the system, slave to the wages, and so on and so forth. So I know that you and I, neither of us would agree with people feeling like they're enslaved to a situation where they are feeling like that. But at the same time, to be a human being and not produce fruit, if you don't plant seeds in the garden, you're not going to have fruits to be able to enjoy and eat. We are, and again, this is my opinion, to sit on our butts and be lazy in life is counterintuitive to being a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my opinion. Although it's nice to think of, there's this big, trust account set up that we could just pull out of whenever we want, or we could like set up a bank account and suddenly there'll be $1 million in there if we hook up this account to this account. It seems counterintuitive to me to think anybody owes you anything in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's
key. It really is. And real quick, you touched on something I want to just clarify. There's that belief too that yes, we can take this money and we can liquidate it and put it in some kind of account. You cannot do that. You don't have the authority to do anything with those accounts. That's why you become the general executor, so you can appoint someone that does have the authority to do those types of transactions. But you're never going to get it liquidated. It's not going to turn into cash. That's just not how it's set up. It's not the way it's meant to work. And again, yes, we do have a right to that. I mean, I get it. There is a trust set up, and these guys are the fiduciaries. So I do get that. But like you and I are both agreeing on, you really have to have a mindset that my life is good. I produce whatever I put out comes back, that whole thing, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day if you have got the pot of gold or not. I mean, if you're not happy at your job and what you do for a living, change it. Do something else. Stop being afraid to go. For years I used to say, oh, I don't know anything else. I don't know. I'll never get out of this carpentry job. Oh, I can't stand it. Right? But I was scared to do anything and take a step because I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't know what to do. Like when I stopped thinking that, I started to create a reality. And now look, I help people all day and I get paid to do that. I mean, and that's another thing real quick, speaking on the money front, this is huge. I can't believe I almost forgot it. What we're doing, REM Private Management with Earth Angel Recovery Services, another company. What we're doing is recovering funds for foreclosures and tax sales. So if anybody watching this video has been foreclosed on or tax sale in the last few years, we can look at your state. Some states are 1 year statute of limitations, some are 5, there isn't any. New York residents, unfortunately, you're completely out. They do not do this at all. But if they have sold the house over the amount of what you owed on it, you are due that money back. Okay. So, if it's sold for 200 grand over, you're due that money back. And we have a percentage that we charge. We take 30% and give 70%, which is a great deal for somebody that doesn't have to do anything. And all of a sudden they get, 170 grand in their hand, in their pocket. Like that's a pretty sweet deal. So anybody that needs that service, we're doing that as well. So
a lot of people out there over the past number of years that have been foreclosed on for various reasons, whether it be just financial difficulties or these predatory loans.
Mm-hmm. And what we're doing, by the way, with that money that we, people think, oh, we're doing this to be rich. No, we're always, obviously, yes, we're taking care of our basic needs. But the people that I work with and what we're doing is making sure that money stays in the company unit. Okay, which is a private business trust, so that we can then invest in other things, so we can continue to build this and free more people and help more people to administrate their lives and their estates. It's not all about let's make the money like some people might have in their mind. Oh, they're charging. Well, of course we're charging. I mean, that's what we do. We're producing. If we produce, we deserve to be compensated, right? Just like the whole energy we were talking about. But anyway, I know we got to wrap this up, so I'll let you go ahead with any other questions.
And on that note, I want to not only to finish up that thought of, it's my belief that, as human beings, it's good to produce. I want to even go further and state that you people out there in YouTube or in the internet land of watching this, you have the abilities to produce. Your mind is a powerful thing, and there's so much that you can do that you're maybe not realizing. You're looking for this pot of gold, but the biggest pot of gold you have is your abilities, your self-abilities, your intellect, and the abilities to put those things together. The universe is waiting for you to be able to just exercise some free will and some energy. It's just waiting to give back to you. My opinion.
It is. I am a firm believer in that, man, and I've lived it. So I agree, and you're right in my book.
All right. Second question, and then we'll do this. 2 more questions on here, and then we'll wrap it up. Is his remedy only for court issues? Which I think you touched upon that. It's not just for immediate court issues, right?
Right. It's not a remedy either. Let's go there. So I want to dispel that. I do not sell remedies. I do not guarantee results. I don't do that. That's a myth. That's chasing a carrot. We're not doing that. What we're providing is an education to teach you how to administrate the estate properly. So yes, it can be used in all kinds of ways. The sky's the limit at that point.
Fantastic. Does his process work for ongoing bills? Such as mortgage, credit cards, and whatnot.
Want to clarify the other thing. It's not my process. Okay, this is a process of law. It's nothing to do with me. Rob did not create this. It's written in the in the ethers. Okay. So yes, again, we're doing this with credit cards. This is not something that you're just going to fill out and send to your credit card company and watch it go away. No, that's not what it is. Can it handle something when the credit card company says, absolutely. What you could do, or what I would do, is I'd say, oh, hey, I noticed you guys left some paperwork here. I'm the general executor. Here's my POA. I'm appointing so-and-so, whoever I can find. If I can't find, I'll go to the CEO, look them up online, put that office in there. I'm appointing you to give me a full accounting on this entire account. Please start there. Okay. Then they give you the full accounting. Then what? Then you issue them the instrument. Here's an instrument. Go ahead and discharge. I just tendered everything. Oh, you didn't follow the law? Great. I'm not paying you now because I already paid you. So if you're going to take me to court, perfect. That's where I want to be. Okay. Because, or that's where the estate wants to be, because I'm going to make sure the judge and everybody knows this is already settled and you're wasting everyone's time. And that's where it gets good. So it's not a quick sign and then the bills go away. No, it's not that kind of remedy.
And like you said, it's not remedies that you're offering anyway. It's just helping people to educate themselves, helping to manage their private affairs.
Yep, exactly. Learning how to do business the way that it was intended to do with these estates and trusts and all that stuff. With your straw man, this is the way it was intended to be done. So,
and just for the people out there, once again, we on Common Law Rights Society, you know, I mean, we're not saying that we represent Robert's processes or company. You know, I mean, we are what we like to do is bring on different folks who want to present education and whatever it is they're doing. We just want to be able to bring to the folks all the different people out there who are able to provide some kind of positive thing. And everybody out there, take it with a grain of salt. If you find that Robert's what he just talked about is useful, and then go ahead and contact him. He's given the information. It's privateestatetrust.org.
trust.
Right?
Yep, privateestatetrust.org. Yeah.
And just for the people out there, it is 2 E's between private and estate. You know, I mean, sometimes it gets confusing sometimes when you have two different ballots.
Yeah, it is. I know.
Well, fantastic. If there's anything else that you'd like to say, then go ahead and do it. If not, then we'll close up, and appreciate you coming out.
Awesome. Thank you. No, just the fact that, if anybody needs help and they want to, see and learn how this whole entire thing really is working from a very simple perspective. The more difficult you make it, the more difficult it's going to be. Our whole thing is simple, straight and narrow. The way through the gate is straight. It's straight and narrow. And that's all we're doing. So yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me come on with the Common Law Society. And yeah, man, anytime. I'd love to come on and chat more.
Thank you so much, Robert. Have an awesome day. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. You too.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome. See you, man.